Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you'll meet a young man who took what some would consider a disability and he turned it into his superpower. His incredible journey just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I think you'll agree with me that we're all dealt a hand by God when we're born, and some people spend the rest of their life complaining about the hand that they were dealt, and others learn how to play that hand better. My next guest is such a person. John Bixler is in the studio. He's the founder and CEO of BixTech, LLC. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, share a little bit about your journey.
So I was born with Asperger's autism, which is an issue for a lot of individuals in America and all around the world right now, as science is finding out this is a different way of thinking for a lot of people. And for me, it was a lack of communication skills, a lack of connection with other people, where I couldn't understand what was happening in conversation. I couldn't really walk away from conversations knowing how that went. And I felt very alone and isolated. And this was all at a very young age where this started. This led down a dark path of attempted suicides at the age of 11 and on, and leading down a deep road of depression that was diagnosed as clinical, and just a long road of recovery where I would have to spend hours after school learning how to speak and learning how to communicate with other individuals by watching TV shows. I would watch the news, or I would watch the I Love Lucy show. I've seen every episode because I was forced to write a report on the interactions in that show after every watching, and talk about what was said right and what was said wrong. And then about December 5th, 2020, I sat in my car with a decision to make. And I was the lowest I'd ever been, and my family had been struck with the curse of COVID, and a lot of people had been lost. And so I decided, I weighed my entire life on the scales, and I consulted God, and I was like, God, like what do I do? And with the weighing on the scales of a life, not just my life, but the lives I will encounter, the lives I will affect, and the lives that would be impacted by my story if it continued or if it ended right then, I decided that in that moment I was going to try and start fighting. I was going to try and start living. And so it wasn't an easy journey. It was not an easy journey. I was 21 years old, living in my parents' upstairs apartment, and had no prospects, no college, nothing. But I was going to fight.
What's your message to a young person right now who's struggling as you did? You took yourself out of a dark place. What do you say to others who are in that place right now?
Doctors don't define you. Your family, your friends, they don't define you. You and God need to define you. You need to find your value in God. You need to find your value in yourself, and you need to learn that what you have been given, whether it's Asperger's or ADHD, can be used for good. It can be used for power. It can be used for impacting lives. It's a superpower that comes with weaknesses, and a superpower that comes with faults, but it's a superpower nonetheless, and many people don't have it.
And one of your many talents is in IT. So I want to pull up your website so people can appreciate how far you've come in a short period of time. Tell us more about BixTech.
BixTech is a white glove concierge service. I saw a gap in the market where a lot of individuals in today's day and age don't know how can technology change their world. How can technology impact my life? How can technology make my life easier for me? And these can range from a high school student all the way up to a CEO of a company. My clients are wide and diverse, and my impact is wide and diverse. And so we work with our clients to provide these services of how can we find technology that will affect your life. One of my clients needed translation devices that could be put in the ear, just passive translation devices that would, when spoken into the phone, would translate languages to English. They wanted to travel with it, not for business, not for negotiations, just to travel with. And we were able to find it for them in 8 hours.
Wow.
And we were able to provide it. And then we were able to provide help for some high schoolers and some help for some people around the world. With our international reach, we've been able to connect artists in Indonesia and Saudi Arabia with clients in America and helping provide college for people like that. And we've been able to, I have an intern right now named Jack, who is an Australian student. And he is learning American ways of business, American ways of how work is done here, so that when he graduates college, he can pursue international business.
Well, I think it takes a lot of courage to share your story with the world, because somebody looks at the website or meets you for the first time, they don't necessarily know of your journey and what you've had to overcome. How has this played itself out in your business? I mean, when you approach a meeting with a new client, are you giving yourself a pep talk, or how do you approach that?
I view my time as not my own. My time is either owned by my clients at the moment, or it's owned by God if I'm serving others. My entire life is spent in service to others, and if you want to spend your entire life in service to others, you can't live in fear of what those others might say. And so, yeah, I have a lot of fear when it comes to talking with people, because I don't know what's going on. I'm very perceptive. I just don't know what that means.
Right.
I can notice so many things about conversations and so many things about what's going on in a conversation. Every shake of a head, every tilt of a pen I notice, but I have no idea what that means.
Well, I applaud you for coming on this show, because I think with all the stuff you're dealing with, you can talk yourself out of coming on my show. But sharing your story, I think, will inspire a lot of people. I know you want to do a lot of public speaking. What's your speech going to be about?
I have several versions of it where I share what God's done in my life, what God's done through my life, and I speak to young adult groups and college groups and youth groups, and I love sharing with young people, because young people in this day and age are so broken. It is such a sad state of affairs. And then I also love to speak to larger groups of adults where I can inform them of, hey, I came out to Dallas with $2,000 in my pocket and a hope and a dream. Here's some inspiration for you.
Wow. Well, you have certainly inspired me, and congrats on the success of your firm. Describe the kind of clients you like to work with.
My favorite type of client is the business executive or the business personality who just doesn't think they understand technology, but really wants technology to impact their life. Because I love working with those people. I have one right now who just is a wonderful person to work with, because he's like, I don't know what this does, but it's amazing. And I have so many connections in the industry. I have so many ways to learn about stuff that if my clients want to learn, then I'm willing to teach them and sit down with them and teach them.
Well, I know one of the questions you're going to ask me after the show is, how did I do? So let me just go on record. You did great, man.
Thank you.
You did great.
Thank you.
We're going to end with his website, which is BixTech.io. Thanks for coming on the show, John Bixler.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.